I'm Natalie from Hobbybase.
Hi, I'm Sophie from Mermaid Treasures, and today we're going to be making a happy birthday decoupage card.
Fab.
Hey, this morning we're going to be making this beautiful happy birthday 3D decoupage card using 2 sheets from the 3D die cut decoupage floral collection by Craft Creations, and also a sheet from the Let's Celebrate paper pad by First Edition. Okay, so the first step in creating this card is going to be making the 3D topper. For this we're going to be using the Pink Roses page from our Craft Creations pad. So the first thing to do is just to press out all the elements that we're going to be using. So the first one is the base of the card. Then we're going to press out, just do it very gently, but they will pop out quite easily. Let's pop out all the elements, and you'll notice on the sheet that they are labelled in the order that you'll build them up. So the first one we took out is labelled number 1, got number 2, 3, 4, and down here is number 5. So we've got 1 and 2. Now what I like to do is where you've got your base card, I leave that one face up, and then the other items I place face down, ready to stick on the foam pads that we'll use to build up the layers. Now I don't know if you can see on this one, but there are some elements from it that just need to be popped out separately. So you can just pinch those out like that. If you have trouble getting them out, you can just poke them with a pencil or a pair of scissors. There's a very tiny one in there, so for that I'm just going to use a pencil and just pop it out like that. Okay, so next step I like to do is to just trim some of the edges where the elements have been attached to the paper. You'll notice very tiny little white bits of card that are just sticking out where the element has been attached to the paper. So some people don't trim them, but for me I just like the edges to be extra tidy. So we're just gonna trim those. And what you can also do where you've got fiddly areas is you can open up your scissors like this and just kind of score the edge like that, and that will trim off any leftover bits of card from where they've been attached. So you want to do this on all of your elements just so you've got nice tidy edges. Okay, so once all your elements are prepared, the next thing we are going to do is we are going to use some of these foam pads. Now I like to use these very small ones. They're 5mm by 5mm, and they're just 1mm deep. So where you've got a topper that's made up of lots of different layers, I find using the thinnest pads possible creates a really nice effect without making the card too bulky. If you were to use a pad that was 2, 3, even 4mm deep, by the time you've added 4 or 5 layers, you've got a card that can be 2.5 centimeters deep. So if you want to post it, it's not always the best. If you've only got a couple of layers to the card, then you can use deeper pads. But for this one, because we've got quite a few different layers, I'm just going to use the 1mm deep pads. So all we need to do now is just take off the pads and place them on at strategic points around the design. You're going to need quite a few just to make sure that it holds in place. Okay, right, so I've stuck all of the sticky foam pads onto the back of all the elements, and I've also removed the paper backings from all of them. So as you can see, I've got a nice little pile of bits that have come off. Now what I like to do at home is to just have a little pot handy just to put these bits in, otherwise you will get little bits of paper absolutely everywhere. So the next thing we're going to do now is, using all our elements, is we're going to build up our 3D topper. So we're going to take our base card and we're going to put on element number 1, which you can see comprises most of the flowers. So you need to be very careful in lining this up exactly on top of the image below, because it's obviously, we want it to stay the same image, just built up in different layers. So I'm just going to very carefully line that up on there. So you can see the image hasn't changed, but we've already got our first layer. So next layer is this one. So just again line it up very carefully. Making sure you press down all the pads, make sure it's stuck on nicely. We've got our next one. And you just keep doing that, building up your layers, making sure you're sticking it onto the right place. And then the final layer. It's there. And there you have your completed 3D topper. You can see different layers that we've created. So it just adds a really nice 3D to your card. So the next thing we're going to do is to prepare our backing paper to go on our card. Now we're going to be using one of these craft card blanks. This is 5 inches by 7 inches and it perfectly fits the size of our topper. Now there's obviously different size cards you can get, so just choose whichever one fits your topper. If you've got a smaller one, you could use a 5x5 card, but for this one the 7x5 I think works really well. Now I'm going to use a sheet of paper from the first edition Let's Celebrate paper pad. Now this one is from the 12x12 pad, but they also come in 6x6 and 8x8 dimensions, so it's up to you which one you get. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut a sheet of this to go onto our card. Now I like to leave just a little gap all the way around the edge of the card, but up to you, you can cut it so that it is exactly the same size as your card blank. Now when I'm making my cards, I like them to be rustic, or I'd like them to be homemade, so I don't try and be too accurate with measuring, you know, ½ centimetre on each side. So what I do is I turn my paper over, put my card blank on top, and then using a pencil I'm just going to draw around it. And you get your outline of your card. Now it's up to you now whether you want to cut it out with a pair of scissors, or you can use a guillotine or a paper trimmer. I'm just going to use the trimmer here just so we get a nice straight edge. So line that up. There we go. So now we've got our decorative paper to go on the card. Now, as you can see, you could use that and just place it on top of your card, but I like to create a little border. So I'm just going to very roughly chop a little bit of excess off of each side. So going to chop probably a centimetre off the top and centimetre off the side. Now you can be much more precise and measure it out if you want to. As I say, I quite like to do it by eye. So as you can see, if I move this out of the way, you've now got a piece of decorative cardstock that is almost the same size as the card, but just leaves you with a really nice outline. So we're going to stick this onto the card now. Okay, so to stick our paper onto our card blank, I'm going to use some of this Crafter's Companion double-sided sticky tape. It's in a really handy dispenser, so you can use it really quickly and easily, and you haven't got to mess about with taking off back paper. So all you're going to do is run this several strips down your paper blank. It's really easy to use, so that's created half a dozen sticky strips on the back. Then all you need to do is stick that onto the card. Good firm press down. So we've got a nice decorative card base. So next we're going to stick our 3D topper that we've already made onto the card blank. And again, you can use your Crafter's Companion tape. Just run that down the back. This tape is very, very sticky, so wherever you stick this, it is going to stay. So you can stick this either square on like this, or I quite like just to have it at a bit of an angle, just so it creates a bit of extra interest in the card. Now what you can do with this one, because it's just the right size, is you can line up the corners here with the edges of the card. So if you can see, my top corner here, top left hand corner, is going right on the edge, the left hand side of the card. I'm going to stick that on like that. And there you have your topper on your card. Now you can leave it like that if you want to, but we're going to make this into a happy birthday card. So for that we're going to need a sentiment. Now I'm going to use a happy birthday sentiment, which is from the same decoupage pad, but it's on a different sheet. This is on our teacups, flowers and cake sheet. So exactly the same as we've done with the other decoupage elements. All you need to do is just pop it out, and we're just going to trim the edges like that. Now for this one, if you wanted to, because it's only a single element, you could use thicker pads so that it really stands out, you could use one that is 3, 4, even 5 millimeters thick. So we're just going to put 4 pads on the back of there. Take off backing paper. And then I'm going to put the topper in the bottom right hand corner of the card. Like that. And there you have it. That is our finished Happy Birthday decoupage card.
That's it for this week's tutorial. Thank you so much, Sophie, for that first ever decoupage card.
Thank you for having me.
Pleasure. I'm going to be seeing much more of you in the future.
Yes,
so
definitely.
if you liked what you saw today, give us a thumbs up here on YouTube and subscribe to our channel so you can catch up with more videos from Sophie in the future. And share alike. We'll speak to you soon. Bye.